what's up? Caroline over here on the city of Irvine. So our sellers have asked us to make them a video on what happens after a seller accepts an offer and they open escrow. So I'm going to get straight right into it and go over the 10 steps on what happens after you open escrow. This is for our sellers. Good luck. Stay tuned. Hey, what's up guys? So you're a seller and you just opened escrow and you're wondering what happens next. Well, stay tuned as I'll be going over the seller timeline. All right, so step one, the earnest money deposit. So you and the buyer just negotiate out a contract. You guys finally, signed, sealed the deal, and then perhaps your agent threw the offer over to a third party. It's a neutral party. That would be an escrow company. So what is the earnest money deposit? Think of this as a good faith deposit from the buyer, showing you, the seller, that they're serious about this piece of real estate. Now, typically in California, there are 3%. And so usually this has to be wired within 24 hours to maximum about 3 days. Once again, think of it as a good faith deposit, that they're serious, that they're going to go through with this purchase. Okay, so step two, the seller opening package. So either by mail or by email, you're going to get what we call the seller opening docs or package from the escrow company. And in here is going to be the official copy of the purchase and sales agreement and then escrow instructions. So the escrow instructions will delineate, when the offer got accepted, what the final purchase price was, how long the escrow period is going to be, and when you're going to close escrow. And then from there, you're also going to get a copy of the grant deed. And this is a very important time because either you can take the grant deed and you can go to like a local UPS and get it notarized, or have a notary come to you. What is the grant deed? This is basically the legal official document later on when the buyer closes escrow, transferring title from you, the seller, over to the buyer. And then also there's going to be tax documents inside of the seller opening package. And that's very important that you have to read through that, because you could be foreign, you may not be legal. And there's tax implications. There's capital gains tax. This is something that you want to get together with your CPA and go over. And then also look out for commission instructions that you signed with your agent. So this is what we call the seller opening package. Okay, step three, the seller disclosure. So remember when you got together with your listing agent and you filled out a transfer disclosure statement, kind of talking about the condition of the property, and then a seller property questionnaire. You filled something out, explaining were there ever insurance claims on the property? Was there ever a flood? Did you do any repairs? Now is the time for your agent that represents you to give this over to the buyer if they haven't already done so. In addition to that, the escrow is going to pull what we call the natural hazards disclosure. In there, it'll state whether the property is in a liquefaction zone, if there's floods, if it's in an earthquake area. And then also there's going to be what we call the preliminary title report, and just make sure that the title belongs to you and that you're free and clear of any encumbrances or if there's any tax defaults on the property. All of these are now going to be given over to the buyer. All right, step four, this is going to be the due diligence or inspection period for both the physical inspection and then the termite inspection. Now, for some agents, they actually do these things ahead of time before you open up escrow. And that's what we like to do. We like to tell our seller that, hey, why not do an inspection and a termite before we open up escrow? Because that way, if I know there's nothing wrong with the property, I can have them remove that contingency. But let's just say you don't. So this is the time the buyer is going to elect to have an inspection done on your property, and also a termite inspection if you've elected that, hey, I'm okay with paying for the termite. And so this is a period called due diligence. They're going to take this and all of the seller disclosures and the reports, and then you guys are going to negotiate out whether you're going to do any repairs on the property, give them credits, or none at all. So step 5, the appraisal. So if you're really lucky as a seller and you have an all cash offer, then you can actually bypass the step. But let's just say your buyer decided to take out a loan. And regardless, let's just say you decided to pull the appraisal contingency, because that's what a lot of sellers are doing in the seller's market. Still, the bank still needs an appraiser to come out and give some type of value on that property to make sure that the purchase price is not too far off from the comps. So in this step, you're going to have to open up your house and make sure that the appraiser comes through and keep it comfortable for them so they can come in and out of there and appraise the property. Okay, so step 6 would be your loan contingency approval. So just make sure with your agent that they're checking up on the buyer, make sure that the loan is fully approved and that, the buyer has met this deadline. And if they haven't, then you need to send them a notice to perform. But next would be the loan contingency removal. And then remember, after all of this, the money goes hard. So after they remove this contingency, the buyer cannot cancel, or else you as the seller can take their deposit. Okay, so step 7, my sellers, seller net proceeds. Just make sure that that sheet that you got from escrow, it's the settlement statement. This is after all of the commissions are paid, the loan balance, if any, is paid off, any of the closing costs, that amount that's coming to you after taxes, all of that is correct. So make sure you guys double check this and then go ahead and approve it and sign it with your escrow company. Okay, step 8, this would be the final walkthrough. So if your buyer gave you guys like a request for repairs, make sure you have it done by this date. They're going to be ready to fund the money and deposit, their initial investment in. And so you guys have built together like a walkthrough date. So just make sure your home looks like it's in its best condition, have all the repairs, if any, fixed, and start getting ready to move out. Okay, step 9 is the move out. So you as the seller probably in the back of your mind have an idea and a timeline as to when you're moving out. But now it's starting to get serious. So you want to take into consideration things like, when do I cancel my home insurance? If you stage the place, calling the staging company back so they could destage. And then also the utility transfer, you want to think about that. And then the official date that your moving truck is going to come to get all of your belongings and basically make the move to leave the place that you've called home for the last X amount of years. All right, and then finally, step 10, funding and recording. So what does funding and recording basically mean? And you're going to hear this word from your escrow officer, from your lenders, and then also from your agent. Basically, funding is when you're pretty much out of the house and the bank is ready to fund the additional amount of the money in. The buyer has already deposited their initial investment with escrow. So funding is when the bank puts in the money with escrow, and then finally recording is when everything is finalized and then the title is transferred from your name over to the buyer and the keys and the place officially become theirs. Final step, funding and recording. All right, thanks guys.
Bye-bye.
That's for our sellers. Okay guys, a bonus step, I forgot about this. To contact your escrow company and let them know when the money is ready after funding and recording. Typically it takes 24 hours, but figure out, do you want your money in the form of a check? Do you guys want to pick it up? Do you want it mailed to you, or do you want it wired to you? So just make sure you check in with your escrow company and let them know how you want your seller net proceeds to be given to you. Typically takes 1 day after recording. Thanks guys.